Well, hi everybody. So for this video, I'm back in the old country from whence I came. So good old England, and I'm in Southampton for the summer. So if you find yourself in that part of the country, then definitely get out for a ride in the New Forest because it is really special place to go cycling. A little bit quieter the roads than many other places around, and lots of animals out grazing. So we see a lot of ponies just wandering around as they will, and also, a few rare species of mammal, including myself, you'll see rolling around. Beautiful area, as you can see from the picture behind me. We'll be going through this kind of thing. And a lot of history as well. This was proclaimed a royal forest by William the Conqueror. And we've got some interesting old buildings and one very unusual site as well, which we'll come to later. It is an absolute treat, so let's just get on with the video. So we start the day here in Southampton Common on a beautiful morning. And coming to the outskirts of town, we've got a nice church here on the left. And I'll show you a relatively trouble-free way to get out of town this way. You can take the pavement a lot of the way down here. It keeps you off the main road. So as you can see, this keeps you off the main road, which is a bit of a dual carriageway here, so probably best to stay off it. More traditional cycle lane here. And just crossing over the River Test here. Okay, so the last bit of pavement, we're nipping down here. I did nearly run headfirst into a mountain biker on an e-mountain bike here once, so keep your eyes open. And now we're coming to Elling. There's a bit of a marina here, and also a tide mill, which you can see in front of us here. So basically how this used to work is the tide comes in and fills the basin, you can see in front of you, and then the water runs back through to power the mill. So this mill dates from the late 18th century. I'm not sure exactly when it stopped functioning, but more of a tourist attraction these days, but a lovely spot nevertheless. And a lovely church here as well, which is called, guess what, St. Mary's. So it's not just in Spain where 99% of churches are called Santa Maria, it's the same over here as well. Okay, so we're coming up to the Tottenham bypass. Best way to get over here is use a pedestrian crossing, as you can see. And we nip down here and get on our way. So coming into the New Forest, we'll get our first sight of the New Forest ponies, which are put out to graze by their owners, and they wander freely as they like. Seem to live quite an idyllic life out here, but unfortunately do occasionally get hit by cars, particularly at night, as I understand. And the owners of the animals in the New Forest, known as the New Forest Commoners or Verderas, still maintain their right to graze their animals on the common land, which they've had going way back into medieval times. And we'll follow these two riders as we come into Beaulieu, which originates from a French Cistercian abbey that used to exist here from about early 13th century, and name translates as beautiful place, and I think you would agree that it is. Nice village here as well, you can have a look around. Now, can't get up to the palace house here, you have to pay to get in, so you couldn't really get a close view of that. But the abbey and the land at the 16th century dissolution of the monastery by Henry VIII passed into the possession of the Montague family, who actually still live in the palace house to this day, descendants of. And this is also the location of the Beaulieu Motor Museum, so when there are events on the weekend, you can get a lot of traffic down here, a lot of people driving down for that, so watch out for that on the weekend. So the old gatehouse there is about as good as we're going to get in terms of seeing the palace house. But it's a nice little place to come and have a look at as well. There's a nice pub and hotel there, so you could make a stop here. And a few miles on here we have St Leonard's Grange, which also dates to the 1200s. So there was a chapel here that was constructed to serve the Beaulieu Abbey. And again, in the dissolution of the monasteries in the 1530s, the chapel and the house were ruined, and stones were taken to build the coastal forts in the Solent. And here we have St Leonard's Barn, which dates also from the 13th century and was used to store grain and for threshing. So this is an interesting sight to see on the way. And here is some more ponies. As I said, they just wander up the road as they like, so they've got a lot of freedom to do this. And another one. It's a little bit dangerous for them, unfortunately. I think this one is pregnant by the looks of it. So we'll see more of those as we go along. It's been quite a hot and dry summer, so you can see everything is kind of yellow. But you can see there are also cows just wander around freely. Here we've got, I don't know if these are turkeys or something here wandering around. And now we're coming to Lymington, which is a village that dates back to Anglo-Saxon times, originally called Lymenton, coming from ancient British Lemanos, which means elm tree. And main activity historically is salt mining, which went on from medieval times up until the 19th century. Also shipbuilding. A lot of the architecture you can see these days is Victorian and Georgian. We've got this lovely high street going uphill, and today is market day, as you can see. A nice friendly town. I stopped here for a coffee and I got into an extended chat with one of the market traders here. People are always interested to meet mammals in the wild. And coming up to the top of the high street, we've got the Church of St Thomas the Apostle, which has its origins in the 12th century as well. It's quite a beautiful building there and a nice churchyard. I believe if you go inside there is some fine stained glass to have a look at as well. And here we have our oddity of the day. This is the Tower Sway, which I discovered last summer when I was riding around, just kind of stood out in the distance. This was built in the late 19th century by Andrew Peterson, 66 metres high, and he was inspired by follies that he saw on travels to India. And it is actually the tallest non-reinforced concrete structure in the world. It used to be open to the public, but now it's a residential house. It would be an interesting place to live, and I believe it could currently be up for sale, so get in there. And there is one of those rare species of mammal who I mentioned earlier, like myself. So where the forest has been cleared over the centuries, what you've ended up with is this kind of wide open heathlands, because the soil here is really not good for growing crops. So this is what you have. So coming into the town of Brockenhurst here, which is one of the principal towns in the New Forest, we'll just kind of skirt around it today, but by all means stop and have a look around. It is rather nice. And here is one of the highlights here. We've got a New Forest pony and two foals holding up a rather posh car here. This is quite a common sight and also a delight. And here's more of that wide open heathland I mentioned before, and some more ponies wandering around. And some cows wisely taking shelter from the hot sun. And as we head north from Brockenhurst, we come into one of the more forested sections. And on a day like today, it is just idyllic riding through these woods here. I'm sure you can see why this is popular with cyclists. I mean, you can just relax and roll around or thrash it up and down here. It's great. A lot of campsites around as well. I'm sure if you were a kid growing up here, you would have camped more than once in the New Forest. We have to get over the main road here, which as you can see is very busy on this Saturday, but it's the only real disruption to this section of the route, so choose your routes carefully in the New Forest. Just you can pretty much stay off those kind of roads. They do sort of dissect it in several places. So you do get a few cars going up and down here. I mean, most of them are respectful and look out for your safety, except for this guy here, who I shouted something rather non-complimentary at. So do watch out for that on some of these narrow country lanes. And this is the only real climb of the day. This is about maybe 1,800 metres long. Some pretty steep sections here. Probably get up to about 14% or thereabouts. So not entirely flat. And that's that. I mean, like I said, it's flat for most of the route. And you see quite a lot of people going around on time trial bikes. It's a really good place for that. And we're just coming up to Boulderwood now. We make a hard right here, and down here there is usually a food van, as you can see on the right there, so it could be a good place to stop for a bite to eat. And then we're coming to this fast section, a bit of downhill here. About to get passed here by this guy who's definitely not hanging around, and I am definitely chasing this one. And this was about as close as I got before the elastic definitively snapped. Whew, no country for old mammals. Bye bye. What can I say when the dog sees the rabbit? Quite a nice looking pub here, which is called the New Forest, and now we'll head towards Lyndhurst, which is the de facto capital of the New Forest. Now, being as this is a popular destination, you tend to run into a bit of a tailback as you come in here. And there's a guy I was chasing earlier. He's just turning off for a stop here at the Wood Cyclery, so bike shop, bike hire. There's a cafe there as well, I believe. It's quite a hub for cyclists in the area, although I've never stopped there myself. And we're back into the open heathland here as we head back towards Southampton. And me and this fella are going our separate ways as I take a right and head back into Marchwood. Back over the Totton bypass at the pedestrian crossing. And back past the Tide Mill again in Elling. We're basically coming back in the way we came out. A quick look round Southampton Old Cemetery next to the Common, which has war graves going back to the Napoleonic War, certainly the First World War, and there's this quite attractive old Romanesque chapel here, which I believe is now functioning as a fabric shop. And there's another old chapel over here. So also burials here, I understand, from the Titanic, which of course sailed from Southampton on its faithful maiden voyage, certainly its last voyage. And we'll cut through another section of the cemetery here, and it's the flora and fauna. It's quite a nice, peaceful spot here. I don't make a habit of hanging around in cemeteries, but I think sometimes it's worth reflecting that we're only here for a short time, so get on your bike. Okay, just coming back into the Common here, so that'll about do it. I hope you enjoyed that, so thanks for joining me on that one. I'll probably try and do another one while I'm... Oh, nearly lost it there. I think I'll probably try to do another one while I'm over here, and then I'll be back in Catalonia in the autumn.